financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is disabled and should have used Uber. We'll figure out why. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. It's a pleasure.
Jeffrey Kirshner.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. And we're talking about disability today.
Yes.
So you got to be on your game.
I will do that, but I will not be the Uber driver.
Speaking of the Uber driver, Scott Weinberg, how are
you
you?
can make some good money that way. Just don't have your drunk friend order the Uber. That's the
key.
That's the key.
Pat Samasco.
I've picked up a few friends in my dates, so I like Ubers so I can sleep the rest of the night instead of having to get up at 2 in the morning. So.
There you go. All right, so let's start off. I'm disabled, and what are my options? Okay. Rick is ending the year with tough times. He's our client today, and we're going to help him. Rick is 52. He's married to Mary, who's 48. They've got 2 kids. Rick is a painter, paints residential homes, exteriors and interiors. He's been doing it for 30 years, since he was a kid. He's self-employed. The problems. All of us have painted, right? Everybody's done some painting. It's tough on the back, tough on the neck.
I'm not allowed to actually paint.
Over the years,
Yeah, my wife will let me paint.
it's taken its toll. His back is given away. He's got horrendous disc problems, required surgery, and his recovery is not going well. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to paint ever again. He had to give up all the jobs he had in process, and he hired a friend, all the jobs he had signed up, the friend's giving him 15% off the top, coming to Rick's company, Rick's self-employed, so that Rick has some income, but he's losing, his mainstay. On top of this, he owes back taxes from 15, 16, and 17, $20,000 each. He's got $100,000 of credit card debt, which he's got some available credit left. He's got a house worth $250,000, mortgage at $210,000. Mary has an IRA for $10,000. Their income before disability, Rick was making $100,000 as a painter. Mary's a registered nurse. She's making $50,000. So they had $12,500 of gross income coming in. Post-disability, Rick's now going to be making about $10,000 a year just off of referrals of business coming in that he sends off to other people. Mary's making $60,000, so they've got about $5,833 coming in. So they're going down from $12,500 gross to $5,800. What can we do about the disability? Now, I know you're probably jumping at the bit because I threw in there tax problems and debt problems, and you want to talk about that. But we're going to talk about Rick's debt problems in a different show.
Yeah,
we're
Brian,
going to talk
it's
about
not all
his
about you,
disability.
Apparently,
Brian.
it's not all
Is
about
that,
me.
you see how
you,
you see how he was ready to.
I know, ready to pounce.
Okay.
Right.
So, because Rick's going to deal with his, we're going to deal with his disability problem, and then we're going to talk about the Uber problem, and that's going to bring in Scott.
But let me say, there's no private disability. This is all Social Security disability, right?
That's what we're
There's
talking
no
about today.
private-
We'll talk about private another time.
He has no private. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a private disability.
Can you
policy.
get both if you have private and can
That's
you
a
get
good
Social
question.
Security?
So the answer is yes, but people have to be aware of the fact that most disability policies today have a coordination of benefits clause.
Have an
and that
offset.
exactly, and that clause is that if you're getting the disability benefits from the private carrier and you get Social Security disability for that same period of time that you're getting benefits at the same time, the disability carrier gets to coordinate, it gets reimbursement. So you've got to see whether or not there's a coordination of benefits clause. There are still some policies today that do not have a coordination of benefits clause, and so under those policies, you can double dip. But most policies today don't allow that.
So that's a big factor when you're buying disability insurance. You want one that does not have the coordination of benefits provision.
But also, isn't it correct that if you have a private disability policy and so you're seeking Social Security disability, if you don't seek Social Security disability, most private policies will start to deny your ability to recover?
Probably
After a
ties to
couple
Aren't you
years.
required
That's-
to seek Social Security disability?
So that, yes, that's correct, and that's part of the coordination of benefits clause that state after a certain period of time, you have to apply for benefits. And if you don't apply for these benefits, they're allowed to assume that you did apply for them and in fact got those benefits. So even if you don't apply for it, after a period of time, the carrier can come back and say, you should have applied, you would have gotten X amount of dollars.
So
we're
that's
gonna
probably
offset it."
tied to, right, that's probably the same exact provision, because they coordinate the benefits, and then they're saying you've got to apply, because if you have a coordination of benefits and you don't apply, it would be a way of defeating that.
You know,
that
on those type
provision.
of cases, normally it's the employer-sponsored disability plan because they get cheaper rates when you have that coordinated
But this guy's
benefit.
self-employed. I mean, he could have had his own private policy too.
He could have.
Yeah.
Everybody can,
Yeah.
but he didn't.
Let's go back. So what does he do? How does he apply?
Well, he comes
Yeah,
to me
when
first.
can he apply for disability?
So my advice, unless you have a life-threatening illness, permanent paralysis, so Social Security disability benefits are for people who are unable to work for 12 months or longer. But realistically, Social Security doesn't take a serious look at your claim unless you've been off of work for at least 6 months. So I usually tell people 6 to 8 months or so is when we should start looking at applying for benefits, because otherwise it's a waste of time if you're applying early on.
But wait, I've been disabled since day one. It's 8 months later. Aren't I going to lose a whole bunch of money? Shouldn't I just apply right away?
No, you've got a 1-year back rule with regard to Social Security disability. What it states is that when you apply for Social Security disability, you can recapture up to 1 year of back benefits from the date that you apply. So you still have plenty of time to apply as long as you don't apply after that 1-year anniversary from your disability, and you can recapture
So
all
as
those
long
back
as you
benefits.
make your application within 1 year from the time that you are qualified as disabled.
That when you stop working, exactly, right. So there's a 1 year
Okay,
back
so
for
in this
SSD.
case, Rick's been off 3 months.
Right.
So you're thinking he should be waiting, when should he come and see you?
Well, he should call me right away. Call me to discuss the case. We can open a file, have that discussion. It's always important to at least talk to somebody to get things prepared. In his particular case, looking at our crystal ball, we know that he's going to be off, which is why we have a show today. But the point is that people, especially when they know they have serious injuries, should consult an attorney right away just to kind of lay the groundwork so they know what to expect and when they should do certain things.
Don't do it on your own and wait to get denied. Do it with an attorney first.
Let's take a break. When we come back, I got a question right on that same point as well.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
You're all set to retire. You have your home paid off, money in the bank, and sound investments. But if you're not careful, all the things that you work so hard for can disappear. At Samasco Financial, we'll help you prevent that. We go beyond ordinary asset management. We'll safeguard everything that you have by creating a plan made specifically for you. How much can you afford to lose? Nothing. Protect the people that you love and the things that you have. Call Samasco Financial today.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, It's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Okay, so in fact, we were talking about it at the break. I see commercials all the time. Have you been denied for Social Security benefits? Boom, 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 boom. Then call the lawyer. It seems to me, wouldn't it make more sense to go to the lawyer before you submit your application so that you don't screw it up?
Yes, I think it makes a heck of a difference to have an attorney be there to kind of plot it out first of all, to talk about the process, and have an attorney file it properly for you, answer those questions, so there's not
Why do
backtracking
these
on-
firms always advertise, have you been denied? Is that just because the custom? Because I know you've always said to me, you should not wait to be denied to see an attorney. You should see the attorney as part of submitting the application.
Well, I think part of it is these firms don't necessarily want to do the initial application.
It's more
and
work for them.
That's more work. And second of all, I think that they want to capture that segment of the population that's already started the system and that's already on their mind, and they say, oh, I'll go see an attorney. I think it's too late, though, because you only have a 60-day window from when you get denied to either file a request for reconsideration or a request for hearing. So you're only capturing a certain element of people if they're watching TV and they just
I think of it in
apply.
terms of like when someone's trying to get their driver's license back, they lost it, they try to do it on their own, they screw up the case.
Everything,
They do.
right.
And then I have to undo what they did.
harder
Can
to
they do
fix
that
it.
here?
You make statements
You don't want them to make-
that are used against
That's
you
exactly
in the
right.
process.
And isn't the reality that most people, they get denied, they think they have to just reapply, and then they reapply? I mean, I met with a client the other day who was telling me that she was applying for Social Security Disability, and I started to question her. That's why I sent her right over to you, because she had applied. She was applying for the 4th time.
She never went to the appeal process. She just kept reapplying.
And she says, well, everybody I know had to apply multiple times before they got their Social Security Disability.
Oh, because their expert friend said that's the way
That's
to do
right.
it?
And Joe,
Yeah.
the bartender,
Why?
added
Wait,
a
and
minor
your
rule.
friend
It was the
said
Uber
you-
driver.
If you
What are you
apply
talking
8 times, do they automatically approve you?
There is no rule of that, but more importantly, you're doing yourself a disservice if you keep doing that because
You're gonna lose
you're
your
losing any
benefits.
back due benefits that you could be entitled to. You could, for Social Security Disability, you can recapture up to a year's worth of benefits prior to the date that you file. So,
So if
there
you
a
submit
maximum
4
amount?
applications, you're going to be 2-3 years down the road before you ever even get to your hearing process.
right.
Well, and isn't there even an additional problem that you might move yourself out
Out of
of
your
the
10-year.
the opportunity to file for Social Security Disability because you might not have had the work in the quarters, and there's some sort of rule about that.
The
isn't
insured status, right. So you have to have had worked in at least 5 complete years over the past 10 years when you become disabled, or 20 quarters over the past 40 quarters. So that time, once you stop working, that
Yeah,
you
that
have
40
what's called-
quarters can stretch it, can become a problem.
Right, you have what's called a date last insured, which means you have to be found to be disabled by that date last insured. If you're found to be disabled, but it's after that date last insured, even though you're disabled, you're not entitled to Social Security Disability benefits.
Do you have to meet both of those tests or one or the other?
It's
20.
the same test. It's either 5 complete years over 10 years, or what they do is they break a year into 4 quarters. So it's 20 quarters over 40 quarters. So you don't have to work 5 complete years. You can work 6 months here and 8 months here and 3 years here, as long as the quarters add up.
Is there an age limit when you can apply for it? Does it have
The
to be
age
before
limit
you're
is
65?
before you hit the retirement age. And one other thing, though, is that there are people who I represent who actually go out when they are 62 and get early Social Security, right? But you take a 30% discount or whatever when
Right,
you
like
go out
you
right
always
away.
talk about, don't take your Social Security before you're 65 or 70 if you don't have to.
Well, that's an
But that's
accounting
something
error. That's something different. You talk to your accountant as to where
Or your
the
financial
benefit
advisor.
is. Sometimes it is worthwhile to do it, but at the same time, people who are disabled go out early, and actually Social Security, when they're in their early 60s, say, why don't you apply for early Social Security, which they do, and we can still pursue their claim for Social Security disability benefit to get the rate bumped
If you
up.
had the finances, can you collect Social Security disability and then still defer taking your regular Social Security till 70? Or,
No,
or
no.
Can
Once
you
you-
defer it from 62 to 66 to full age?
No, but what you can do is this: you can get out early 62, apply for Social Security disability, and get approved, and then get that 62 when you're getting early, get it bumped up to your regular
full
Social
benefit?
Correct.
Okay,
So you
'cause
could
it's kind of hard to be.
All right,
bad to
now,
be
do that.
That 5-year rule bothers me because that assumes that you've had the ability to work for 5 years. What if you're 21 and you fall off the ladder at your
Well-
job, and now, or not your job, but you're self-employed, and you're now you've only worked for 3 years.
There's a formula for people who are younger than 30
That-
to
that gives
do
them
that, to
eligibility.
allow, so you're not bound, because you couldn't work for 10 years.
Right.
You know, can I throw something in there real quick though? But because you were talking about all these self-employed people, your Social Security is based on your earnings history, and so many self-employed people have figured out a way to deduct this and deduct that, and not necessarily.
Or the guy who's working for cash
Yeah,
on the table.
and they don't have earnings history, or they have a very low earnings, so their Social Security benefit could be pennies compared to
And that's going to
paying
affect
in.
your
Well,
benefit for disability.
100%. So
yeah.
there's a couple issues, and I thought about that too. One is that's precisely right. When people in cash businesses, they put some aside, and I get it. I get the reason why they do that. But at the end of the day, it does affect your Social Security rate, because Social Security is paid based on what you've paid into the system.
Then you have to hire Scott to get you out of jail for tax fraud.
And the other issue that you guys deal with are tax issues. Is that some people who are self-employed may not file their tax returns. Well, if you don't file your tax returns, you don't get credit for those
So you
years.
have to get those returns caught up.
Correct.
2 questions
Sure.
before we come to the break. First of all, how long from the time Rick applies to the time it'll ultimately be decided through the appeal process are we looking at?
So let's do the math problem here. You apply for benefits.
Give me the quick answer.
Sure. Well, you apply for benefits. It's roughly taking about 3 months or so for them to make an initial determination. Most likely, statistically, you're getting denied. In Michigan now, since October, there's a new phase that just started, which is called a request for reconsideration. You ask for reconsideration. That, again, we don't know how long it's going to take. Most likely it'll take another 2 to 4 months. After that period, if you get denied, then you're going to ask for a hearing. It's going to take another about a year or so.
What's the total?
So about 18 months or so.
Okay, 18 months. And for in Rick's case, I want to know, what do you think his benefit will be? Is $2,000 a month, given his history of making $100,000 a year?
I think
realistic?
it's a realistic ballpark.
Okay.
yes.
The reason why I want to get those numbers out there is I want them out there for Brian. Between now and the next show when we cover this, he needs to know how much money he's going to get and how long it's going to take. So you've got your information. We'll take a break, and we're going to talk about Uber.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Criminal matters are serious. Your freedom, future, and wallet are on the line. Criminal defense attorney Scott Weinberg is a former prosecutor and renowned criminal lawyer. For over 30 years, he's the go-to defender in Michigan to protect your rights. Scott's advice: you have the right to remain silent. Use it. If charged with a crime, call Scott Weinberg today. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. And remember, stay silent.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. I want to remind our viewers, listen to us for Law and Reality Live on Praise Network and on KISS 105.9 FM. We're on Praise Tuesdays, 10 o'clock a.m. and Saturdays, 7 o'clock a.m. and on KISS Sundays, 7 o'clock a.m. Be sure and sign up for our monthly contest. Free $100 Visa gift card, Law and Reality golf hat, and a copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Just go to the website, pop your name in on the homepage, and you're entered into the contest. It's a great deal. We've got a seminar coming up on Wednesday, January 22nd, 6 to 7:30 p.m. The name of the seminar is Debt Be Gone. It's going to be a debt elimination seminar which focuses on how to convert you from accumulating debt and being in debt to start saving money for retirement and for your future. The whole goal is you want to get to the point where when you retire, you have a bucket of retirement savings and you have no debt so that you're secure in your future. We'll show you how to get there. We use solutions with bankruptcy and outside of bankruptcy. It's all dependent on your circumstance. We also address tax issues. Jeff Linden's going to do an segment on how to resolve tax problems. Scott Weinberg's also going to attend, talk about family-related criminal law issues that everyone should know about. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. Also remember, you can always come into the firm and through Law and Reality for a free consultation. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online on the website and request a consult. There's boxes to check. Debt issues with Brian, tax issues with Jeff, estate planning issues with Brian, business issues with myself, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner, criminal law issues with Scott Weinberg. All available to you. Our free consults are not meet and greets. We analyze the problem, tell you what you need to do to solve the problem, tell you what it's going to cost, tell you how long it's going to take, and we plan out. The goal is the optimal strategy. That's what we're always focusing on. So take advantage of those free consults. Sign up at lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. Also, check out the websites. We've got 4 free reports. Brand new one, Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solution, How to Save for Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Michigan, and The Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Simasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Simasco Law, Michigan Criminal Lawyers, PLC, Jeff Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Will I outlive my money?
Medicaid is so confusing.
A will, or do I need a trust?
What if mom needs to go in a nursing home?
At Simasco Law, we have the answers to all of these questions. Our attorneys will eliminate the confusion and develop a plan that's right for you. We are dedicated to veterans benefits, assisted living, and nursing home care. Simasco Law can help prepare you for a long future. Call Simasco Law today.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back, and Rick's got other problems. Remember at the beginning I said should have called Uber? Well, here's what it is. You know, it's holiday season, back is terrible. He goes out with a couple of buddies. He's struggling big time. Just to let you know from his disability standpoint, he can still manage to drive, which is probably not a good idea, as we're going to see quickly, because he goes out with his buddies, he has a few drinks, he gets pulled over. We've talked about this before with Scott. He gets pulled over, he takes the breathalyzer, fails, take him to the station, takes the, what's the more formal test?
Well, the PBT is the one they take at the scene. The breathalyzer test, what they take at
Preliminary
the station.
breath.
But let's say he fails
the PBT.
that, right?
He fails both of them. He's in jail. So all of our discussion that we had before about him keeping his mouth shut and his right to remain silent and so forth, and that is gone. His wife is now calling, and she calls you. In fact, she calls 800 no jail 1,
Yeah.
and I want to take over the process now. Did Mary do the right thing in calling you now?
So let me back up 1 second, which is so many people that are disabled, so many people that have lost their jobs, or they get fired, but they're also they quit themselves because they have their own substance use or mental health issues, and they're filing for disability, end up getting in trouble. They end up drinking, doing drugs, having marital issues, and it's very common in that crisis situation to get a drunk driving, to get pulled over for something. So they've already got crisis going on in their lives. Now what happens is Now they've gotten arrested already, so now they're in lockup. So the first thing that family should do is call an attorney. Whether it's me or anybody else, get someone that you trust to go to the station many times and talk to the defendant being held in lockup. Because some of the scariest things that happen is not about the criminal justice system, it's the process of it. The family doesn't know what to do. They don't even know where he's at. You say he's in jail, but he's usually in the lockup of the police department. They usually haven't transferred him to jail. So they're calling hospitals, they're calling jails. Call the attorney. The attorney can find out where they're at, can talk many times to the sergeant in charge at the station to see when they're going to release him or her, what happened in the case. If there's some way to get him out at that point,
it's 1 o'clock in
sometimes
the it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
call the attorney. It doesn't matter.
Mary calls 800 no jail 1.
We will at least.
You get up?
Well,
Are you sleeping? Are you awake?
We have lawyers on 24/7, so you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
The issue is more about information. But you have to be realistic. If you got your loved one who just got stopped for drunk driving and they just got arrested and now they're in lockup, they're not going to release him until he's sober. They're not going to release him until he has the level of alcohol in his system that allows him to walk out of there legally. So he's probably going to stay there overnight anyway. But the first thing that happens after he's released or after he's arrested and he's at the jail, he's going to get arraigned. They're going to give a date, even maybe the next day, to have a judge set his bond. Well, you want to make sure you have an attorney at that hearing if they're going to have the arraignment so we can argue to get him on a personal bond. He's got a job, he's got a family, he's going to show up, he has a retained attorney.
Is your license suspended automatically at that point?
No, so your license isn't going to be suspended unless, one, you refuse that breathalyzer back at the station. They give you a license, but it's suspended unless you object to it. If you've taken that breath test, even if it's really high, your level, they're going to give you a temporary driving permit that allows you to drive unrestricted.
Right. I'm going to want to continue this at another show because we're down to a minute. But so he goes to the arraignment now. How, in 40 seconds, tell us what the next 3 steps are.
So after the arraignment, they're going to set what's called a pretrial, where the attorney and the prosecutor sit down and they try to discuss what's going on in the case. We'll get the police reports, and then we can decide, is it a beatable case? Is it a challengeable case? Is it a case you're not going to be able to beat? You want to save attorney fees and fines and costs and keep your record clean and try to work a deal.
Every
all
one of
that
those
happens
points
after
that
you
you just made, I'm going to write down and use as our outline for the next show when we talk about drunk driving, because that's what we haven't covered so far in the thing. Bottom line, though, if you do get stopped and you're in that situation,
immediately ask for an attorney.
No jail. Ask for an attorney, and then you should call this guy 800 no jail 1 to protect yourself. Rick's got a future. We're just going to have to help him out. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.